Hi, and good morning, and welcome to another podcast on the CBD Wellness Hub. Today we have the wonderful Manny on, who is a gut health specialist and everything that you need to know about the gut. And he has got the most incredible story and how he has improved his own health through nutrition. So, Manny, you say it better yourself, so please would you introduce yourself, please?
Well, that was a great introduction, so thank you very much, Michelle. So yeah, I'm Manny. I'm a gut health coach, and I specialise in the likes of Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, gastritis, celiac, leaky gut, for example. And I have Crohn's disease myself. I've had it for 20 years, and I've had a real bad bouts with it in the past. So I was diagnosed in 2001 when I was 11. I'm now 30 years old, and let's fast forward to 2016, Christmas Day. I went through a significant bowel perforation. My intestine just split and just leaked all over. Internally, it just leaked, and it was just an awful thing to experience. But I didn't know at the time. I just knew it felt like someone just shot me in the stomach and someone poured battery acid on top for good measure. It was excruciating pain,
You're lucky
especially
you're
on Christmas
alive.
Day as well. Yes, I'm very, very lucky and grateful to be alive. And so I got rushed to the hospital, and I was laying on my back for 5 days. I couldn't eat. I wasn't getting fed. I was just on a drip. I couldn't go to the toilet. I couldn't move for 5 days on my back in excruciating pain. And every day the doctors would come visit me and say, "Oh, Manny, how's things?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, they're fine." So all I wanted to do was just go home. Like I just literally just want to go back home.
How old were you then, Manny?
I was 26 at the time.
Yeah. So still relatively very young.
Yeah, extremely young,
Yeah.
for sure. And they would come and they'll press on my stomach, like, "Oh, is this okay?" But they didn't know it was a perforation at the time. I
And
certainly didn't
did they
know.
know that you have Crohn's? I
Yeah,
assume. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. So they're prodding on my stomach, and I'm like wincing, but I'm holding it in, and they're like, "Manny, does that hurt?" And I'm like, "No, no, it doesn't hurt." And they're like, "Are you sure it doesn't hurt?" And I'm like, "No, no, it doesn't hurt." Obviously, the reality was I was in agonizing pain, but I just tried to play it down because I really wanted to go home. I just
Yeah.
like thought, just give me some medication, give me some steroids to reduce the inflammation in my gut. Let me just go back home.
Did it feel like a usual attack, or did you know it was more significant?
I definitely knew it was more significant because, bear in mind, I've had Crohn's disease now 20 years. I'm used to having a flare up. I'm used to abdominal pain. So when I woke up that day on Christmas Day, I was like, "Oh, I've got another flare up." I was like, "Oh, I'm just used to this pain." And I kind of just
You get
didn't
used to it.
acknowledge
You
it.
cope with it, don't you?
Yeah,
You learn to
absolutely.
cope. Yeah.
And as the day went on, it wasn't fading because I expect to have a flare up and have this pain, but it would normally just fade after about between 10 minutes to an hour, and it was getting progressively worse. You know,
And look, you didn't sepsis and all those other things as well, isn't it?
absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
And
So I assume you got rushed off to theatre then, did you?
yes, yes. So from day 5, then to realise, right, we need to do emergency surgery, but it wasn't instant. So they said to me, "You've got 3 options," and it was have an ileostomy bag, have an ileostomy bag, or have an ileostomy bag.
Oh, so you had one option.
Yes, I technically had one option, just times by 3,
Yeah.
and I was like, "I'm not having a bag. I'm not going to defecate into a bag.
Yeah.
There must be some other options. This is like worst of the worst case
You're
scenario."
26. Yeah.
Exactly,
Massive,
yeah.
massive.
Yeah, it's life changing,
Yeah.
a surgery like that. So I was refusing it. The surgeons would speak to me. I'll pick their brain. Then they'll bring in the IBD specialist. I'll pick their brain. They'll bring in a nurse. They'll bring in all these variety of different people who are really good in their own remits. And I'll get loads of information off each person. It created this big picture. But ultimately, everybody was trying to convince me have this surgery, otherwise you're gonna die. And I was like, my attitude is, I'm Manny Tura. I'm not gonna die. You know, I see myself not in an arrogant way, but I see myself in very high regard. I've got a lot of self-respect. So I was like, you really think I'm gonna die? I'm the last person who's gonna die from this. So I had no choice, and I agreed to the ileostomy bag because, generally speaking, I speak to hundreds, probably thousands of people now who've had the bags, and it saved their lives. To
Yeah.
have very good reviews about me. Say, "Oh, I can live such a normal life, better than it was previously and stuff like that. But my experience was the complete opposite.
Okay.
So my weight just deteriorated
So
rapidly.
you had the surgery, had the bag, and then it all.
Yes,
Right.
that's absolutely right. So I had the surgery, had the bag. I was in hospital for a 2-week period. It went over to New Year. So I remember spending New Year's Day. Bear in mind, I follow the Sikh religion, and I always go to the temple at New Year at midnight. And it's midnight, and I'm laying in bed. I'm in a ward full of men who are aged between 60 and 90 years old with the same surgery.
Wow.
I'm 26,
Yeah.
with these men who are obviously far older than I am. They're all wincing in pain. Midnight, I'm staring at the ceiling, and I'm trying to just distract myself. I'm doing a little prayer, and I just hear, like, on one side he's like, and then I hear on the other side another man is like screaming in agony, and I'm like, this is hell.
Conducive to good recovery, is it?
No, it definitely isn't. But I'm a big believer in, like, the laws of the universe, and to me, the, like, law of relativity is, you put things into context. I'm like in a better situation than some of these men, not to put them down, but it's kind of like, well, I'm not wincing in pain at this moment. I'm just listening to other people, which is very sad and heartbreaking to hear as well.
But you can see the positives of your situation within a horrific situation, and the more I speak to people like you, I think very much the mind over matter. The mind is a powerful thing. So if you can see the gratitude, even in a horrible situation, it's amazing how powerful that can be.
Oh, absolutely. The mind is your strongest muscle, and a lot of us take that for granted and don't realize that we can heal just based on our thoughts. To a large degree, that is. I didn't realize it at the time. That was just my mentality. That's just how I naturally thought. I didn't.
Sorry, Manny. No, you hear of people saying the psychosomatic almost. I mean, you can almost think yourself poorly. Oh, I've got a sore throat, or I've got this. Whereas, why don't we think of it the other way as well? So yes, you're quite right, aren't you?
Yeah. No, he hit the nail on the head there. It works both directions.
Absolutely.
So then, what happened was, so we've gone into 2017 now. I'm still in hospital. Eventually, a bit before that I want to discuss, and was I just wanted to walk again, because now none of us in this ward, there's 6 men in this ward, and none of us could physically get out of bed to walk. It's only a small room as well. So I'd try and rebuild some of that strength, and I'd walk up to the door and I'd walk back.
Keep the muscles moving, which is really good for recovery as well, isn't it?
It was very slow and gingerly. Obviously, now, as a normal, healthy person, it would take me 6 seconds to walk up and down. Then it must have taken me about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Just to go one direction. And I could see the rest of the men who were watching me just kind of slowly just trying to walk up and down. And one man said, and I think he was in his 80s, and he said, I love to do what you're doing right now. And that really, really got to me, because I was laying in that bed watching the nurses running up and down, dealing with lots of people that are very active. Like, I'm a very active person normally. Seeing family members and friends come in to visit me, and they're just whizzing around and they can do all this, and I can't physically do any of this. So when he said that to me, again, going back to law of relativity, he wants to do what I'm doing, but I'm looking at other people. I want to do what they're doing. I want to be walking as fast as them. So it really spoke volumes when he said that to me, and it still stuck to me to this day, clearly. So I left the hospital, and my weight just went downhill. So
is that because you weren't eating, or is that because your body wasn't absorbing the nutrition, or the combination?
It definitely wasn't because I wasn't eating. I was eating lots and lots of food. In fact, my appetite just went through the roof, bizarrely. And I always struggled with loss of appetite with my Crohn's disease. I've suffered with weight loss all my life prior to that. So it was really strange to kind of now suddenly
more than normal for you.
Yeah, it was like double the amount. Like, I just constantly wanted to eat. But the thing is, now I've got a bag. It was just coming straight out, and I was going into this bag. So I'd empty this bag. There's a little flap at the bottom of the bag, and then you just release it, and all the waste would just come out into a toilet. And I was doing that 15, 20 times a day. So that's like, imagine you sitting on the toilet 15, 20 times a day. It's the same equivalent.
Yeah. And you'd be questioning why am I going to the toilet so often?
Absolutely, because I wasn't absorbing what I'm consuming.
It was just, your body was just pouring it through you. It's almost like everything was on like fight or flight system, wasn't it? It was just firing through and not taking any nutrients for you to then survive, was it? It was just removing everything.
Yes, that's exactly what it was, Michelle. And so I became severely dehydrated to the point where I had to go on a drip. The food wasn't doing anything whatsoever. I was enjoying the taste. Yeah, extremely malnourished. And on my social media, my website, you can see a picture of me when
Manny, I've seen it. It honestly, it broke my heart. It was like, oh my God, to be that thin, and you, without being rude, you were emaciated, and that is not good for your body, and it's not good for your mental health. It's not good for. It's just not good. It was almost like you looked like. Please forgive me. It looked like you were dying.
Yeah, no, and people visit me like I was on my deathbed.
Yeah.
Like I had this, it was like a revolving door at my house once I left, or people visiting me because people genuinely thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
But again, my attitude.
You looked poorly enough.
I look like death.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry to be so blunt. And
no, it's fine. I look like a walking corpse. I was just a literal shell of myself, and you can see that picture on my social media. All my friends are eggs. Because it's very shocking to see. And for me, to this day, especially where I'm at now, I'm a very strong and muscular person. Now,
which I want to talk about in a minute. Which the story's incredible.
Yeah, but again, I look back at that, and it adds fuel to my fire to this day. Because I'm like, there's times where I think, I'm not in the mood to do this, or don't want to do that, and I look back at that picture, I'm like, well, that Manny who was struggling wanted to take over the world. And I still do. I still want to show the world what I'm made of and what I can
and enjoy everything that the world can give to you as well.
Absolutely, yes.
So what happened? So obviously you were losing loads of weight. You clearly weren't absorbing food. Did you go back to the doctors? You consultant? What happened?
So we reached out, and no one would come see me. They were like, "No, you need to come to us." I was like, "I physically cannot leave the sofa. Like, as much as I want to like walk and do all the things, I was only walking to the toilet and back each day. That's all I could do. And bear in mind, when I would go empty my bag, I'm drained. I'm like fully drained.
You're taking every bit of energy from your body.
Yes,
what the little bit was coming through.
Absolutely, and I'm doing that again between 10 and 20 times a day. So when I would empty my bag, the closest bedroom to the bathroom, I'll just go into that room and just collapse on the bed. Become so drained and I have no energy. So I'll collapse for about between 5 and 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I can probably get up now. And then I'll gingerly make my way downstairs, and I'm doing that every day. And I'm severely dehydrated. I'm malnourished. It was just a real awful experience. So I reached out to the doctors to go back to your question. They kept saying, "Can you come in?" I was like, "Well, no, I can't." And my mum was ringing them, and they said, "We need someone to come out." I knew my blood pressure was severely low. I had feelings my B12 levels were really low because I started blacking out. I was collapsing. My legs would just crumble beneath me, and I would just fall. And I didn't have the strength to pull myself up, especially if there's nothing around. So I'd have to scream the house down. I'm like, help, help, help. And then someone would come running instantly and then try and just pick me back up, physically just back onto my feet, because I wasn't strong enough to stand back up. And I was blacking out a lot. And there's one specific scenario I remember. Someone knocked on the door, maybe a postman, I can't remember who. So I've got off the sofa and it was just pitch black. And I thought, oh, the electrics had gone off. That was my immediate thought. I was like, oh. And I was like, wait a second, it's like 1 PM. There's no lights on. And I was like, someone's home, but the lights are off. Yeah. Yeah, the lights were off in my head. So then I started panicking, and I'm like, imagine my eyes I can't see anything, but I know where everything is in my house. So I'm like, oh right, roughly the light switch is here, and I'm like, I'm gonna put the light switch on. That's not gonna do anything.
You were passed out almost, weren't you? I don't. There must be a technique. I think is it called perifaint, where you're half faint but you're half awake. I can't remember what. I'm sure a medical person will tell us. Yeah, not good.
Absolutely not. It was scary. It's like being blind temporarily, and slowly that was starting to become more frequent. So I was convinced like blood pressure is extremely low. B12 must be very low. Again, obviously malnourished. So eventually a doctor came and said, oh, your blood pressure's low. I was like, yeah, thanks for stating the obvious. What are you going to do about it? and nothing came about it basically. So it's 2 months now post surgery. I've gone from, so everyone's aware, I'm 5'3", and at the time I weighed about 8 stone, which is about normal body weight for me. Went from 8 stone all the way to 5'2", which is like the weight of a small child.
Almost
Again,
half your body weight gone.
yeah, it was actually technically it was a third of my body weight went in 2 months. So I had a checkup with the doctors and said, "Oh, you have to come in." Somehow I managed to get myself up and go to this appointment. It was very hard. And there was a team of surgeons and doctors and specialists sat there. And this is how they painted the picture. They said to me, "Manny, if you lose 10% of your body weight, we get worried. If you lose 20% of your body weight, it's a red flag. They're like, you've lost 27% of your body weight, almost a third in 2 months." And my heart just sank, and they were like, "So what are we going to do?" I said, "Well, you need to come back into hospital for 3 months." And I'm like, "For 3 months? You want me to?" Yes. To feed me intravenously, to put it's called a PICC line. It goes in the side of your bicep.
Straight into your bloodstream.
Yeah, straight into your bloodstream and feed me that way.
Oh my God.
So that's what happened. But just before that, I said, "What about this reversal? Can't you just reverse it?" And they basically kind of just looked at me as if they're ready to laugh and said, "Well, no, because if we do the surgery, you're not physically strong enough. So when we reattach it, your intestines will just fall apart. And so we don't want to do that." Yeah. So they said to me, in order for us to consider reversing your ileostomy bag and reattaching your intestines.
I didn't realise it could do that actually. I thought that once that was done, that's done. So
no, there's 2 types of surgery. You can do like a loop ileostomy, so it's temporary, so they can reattach it later on. So what happened was, just to give you some information.
No, it's interesting.
So when they did the ileostomy surgery, what they do is they pierce a big hole in the side of your gut.
Yeah.
And then they pierce your intestine through. So my intestine was out on show, just like it was in line with my stomach. Yeah. And then you just stick a bag on top, so then when you eat, it will just go. Your intestine is on display, and then goes into the bag. The other end is looped underneath your skin. Right. So when they reattach it, they pull both ends out of your body, reattach it, and then put it back in.
It's a bit like a car engine, really, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
Do you know? Isn't it clever what we can do? Sorry, it blows my mind. I think it's incredible. So basically, you were being fed from your PICC line. Getting you basically back, getting your body weight back up, getting your nutrients back in your system, but they have to leave the bag in place while that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So what they said to me was, in that meeting, we would only consider doing a reversal surgery once your Crohn's disease is in remission, and you put on 16 kg of body weight. And I was like, 16 kg of body weight at this? I was like, that's not possible at all. And bear in mind, they wanted me to be heavier than the heaviest I've ever been in my life when I didn't have a bag. So in my head, I was like, how the hell is this even humanly possible? Yeah. And then
I'm 8 stone something, and when I put on 1 pound, it's quite a lot in percentage terms because I'm so little. So it's the same type of thing. It's a huge. It's not like for somebody who's 6 foot saying, "I'll put 1 pound on." That's easier for somebody of our size, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So 16 kilo is a significant body weight for us to put on.
Yeah.
So I took a step back at that point when they said that to me, and I said, "All right, you want me to put 16 kilo of body weight on?" And I just turned to them and said, "Challenge accepted." And then I got up and walked out. Because again, if you looked at me at that point in time, like, again, I was in that state where I'm just a shell, I'm a walking corpse. But I'm still the same Manny. I've still got the same mentality. That didn't go anywhere. So I walked out of this meeting. I was like, all right, then you're going to send me to hospital again. I really didn't want to go, but I wanted to get better.
Yeah. You couldn't continue living like you had been living for the last 2 months.
No, not all. So they put the PICC line in and they fed me intravenously for a week. It was 24 hours a day, just constantly getting fed 1,500 calories. Plus I could eat normally, which was great.
Oh,
then it reduced. Yeah, so that was fine. Yeah, because they did that so they can bypass my gut, so I can put the weight on that way.
But at least you still got the taste, which is a math, so you can still eat and get the pleasure of eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And at that time, my appetite just suddenly went through the roof, so I was dying to.
Because your body's craving what it needed, wasn't it? Your body's saying, "Feed me, please feed me."
fast forward a bit. I spent a month and a half in hospital. So I entered the hospital at 33.6 kilograms, 5 stone 2. So now I'm trying to resume a normal life with an ileostomy bag. I started going out and about. No one knew what was going on, and there was obviously my close family and friends that knew really what was going on. But generally speaking, no one else did. And it was roughly now March time in 2017. No, it wasn't. It was May. It was May time in 2017. Normally, I always had a clear ileostomy bag, but I ran out of them, so I had ones where you couldn't see inside. And every morning you have to change these because they get obviously dirty and smelly. It's waste going into them, and I have to clean it every day. So I just changed it in the morning like I did every day. And when I took the bag off, I found 6 inches of my intestine just fell out my gut, and it was just dangling on the inside of my leg like this. And the face you're making now, that's exactly what I look like. I was stunned, I was shocked, I was speechless. I'm just there, bright red intestine, 6 inches of it, it was on the inside of my groin, just dangling.
Like, what do I do with that then?
I was like, it was just like, well, I can't pick it up and try and tuck it
What do I do? What do I do? We're not really trained in things like that, are we?
No, we're not trained when a major organ just falls out.
So what happens when a major organ falls out of your body? You know, it's not the first question that comes to your mind, really, is it? So, wow.
So I went to the hospital, and bear in mind, this whole time from day one is I'm a religious person. I'm praying, and I'm big in a believer in the universe. I'm like, please just reverse this ileostomy bag, because to me it was, once you reverse the ileostomy bag and reattach my intestines, I can start rebuilding my health and my life. That was my ultimate goal.
At the end of the day, it's still an open wound which can get infected and everything else that goes along with that, I assume.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That's 100% correct. Which was another concern. So I went back to the hospital, and the ultimate outcome was, or the suggestion, so let's say, was we can remove the 6 inches, which is worst case scenario, because they've already removed 1 foot of intestine. I don't want to lose another 6 inches. So, or then it was have surgery to put it back into my stomach, but then it was quite redundant. There's no point having surgery to put it back in my stomach, then later on have surgery to reattach it. Or the best outcome was reattach my intestines, reverse the ileostomy bag. So I'm like, can't just reverse the ileostomy bag? That's all I want. They were like, well, you just started this medication, your body weight's not up, you're not in remission with Crohn, so it wasn't looking good. And so I stayed in the hospital overnight, and then I saw a surgeon, and he said to me, Manny, what should we do with you? And I said, why don't you just reverse the ileostomy bag? And he just looked at me, and he just thought, and he goes, yeah, we could probably do that. And then he noticed that I'm on this certain medication, which could be detrimental to doing a reversal. So he had to speak to that specialist who knows about the drug. But he came back to me the next day, and I had to wait another day. And he came to me and he asked me the same question. What shall we do with your money? I'm like, reverse, 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 reverse the ileostomy bag. Come on. And he goes, you know what? That's a great idea. I think we'll reverse it. And I'm just like, huh? I was like, yeah.
Yes. The world has listened to me finally.
Yes, yeah. You know, the universe and God and everybody who's out there is listening to my prayers. And so it was a blessing in disguise, is how I saw it. My intestines fell out of my gut, and I wasn't at the body weight. At this point, I put on 12 kilos in total at this point.
Fantastic.
And I needed 16. But my Crohn's disease wasn't in remission, but they kind of overlooked that, and I'm really glad. And my body weight wasn't quite there, but they said they'll do the surgery. So I'm like, this is the only time in my life I'm going to be so happy that I'm going to go under the knife. You know, I was begging for this surgery. So then I spent another week in hospital, and the surgery didn't happen. It kept getting pushed back, I wasn't high up on this priority list because other major surgeries or emergencies came through, which is fine. So I end up seeing people who do anesthetics. I forgot what you call them. So surgeons, they're like, oh, we're going to do it tomorrow. get ready. I fasted for 24 hours. Oh no, we can't do it. We'll have to do it again. That happened 3 times, and I got really,
Just
really
what you
fed
need
up.
when you try to put on weight.
Yeah, exactly. So I did lose a bit of weight in hospital actually, and so it was day 6 or 7 that I've basically been in hospital doing nothing because I'm not there to have any treatment or anything. It's just like,
Just hanging
well,
around.
just yeah. It was like, well, what's the point of this? And it got to day 7, and they said, oh, we're gonna have to send you home. We'll have to give you an elected spot, and you'll have to come back later on for your surgery. I said, I'm not leaving this hospital until you do this surgery. I said, I've been here a week now, waiting and waiting, day in and day out. Keep telling me it's gonna happen. I said, this surgery is gonna happen, and then I'll leave the hospital. It was like, all right, okay, let me just speak to whoever I need to speak to. And then within like 20 minutes, the porter came with the wheelchair to wheel me off to the theatre. Like, well, how hard was that?
It must have, all the stars must have aligned at that time, mustn't they? It must have been the right time for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was in my hospital bed. Bear in mind, no one knew what was really going on in my life. And I put a Facebook post up of when I was, that skinny picture, and you can find that on my social media, all my friends' regs. And then how I looked at the time when I had ileostomy bag, and I had a PICC line in my arm, but I looked a lot different in comparison. I had just a groundswell of support and such heartwarming messages.
So you're recovering now, and you've had your bowel reattached, and everything's working beautifully, should we say? So how then did you get involved in your gut health coaching? Because this bit really interests me as well, because you've obviously gone through massive life changing. What was the bit that switched for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So bear in mind, when I was extremely ill, I couldn't physically do anything. I couldn't dress, I couldn't walk, I couldn't wash myself. All I could do was sit there and I would read. I was obsessed with understanding nutrition, the digestive system, Crohn's disease, autoimmune disease, the mind, and how that plays a factor. They say, oh, but you need iron, you need folic acid, you need vitamin D. But I was like, well, you can say that to me, but what does that mean? What are they doing to the body? Like, why is vitamin D so beneficial? Why is iron so beneficial? And all these things. So then I would drill deeper into all of it. And everything I've learned, and bear in mind, I've been doing that now for 4.5 years. I've put, now thousands and thousands of hours of research and implementation, because everything I've ever learned, I've implemented it myself. And so how the gut health coaching side of things came about was I wrote a blog. So in 2017, this all happened. And then by October, I looked incredible. I had put so much weight on muscle, because everything I've learned from a health point of view,
You were using in your
I
own.
implemented it. Yeah. I stopped eating KFC, pizza, and McDonald's. And I stopped drinking Coke, and I stopped having sweets. I stopped having caffeine. I stopped having cow's milk, and implemented such a healthier lifestyle. And then, plus mixed in with my training, the muscle just sat on me, the weight just sat on me.
Yeah.
So nicely.
Yeah.
Again, you can see the transformation on Instagram, all my friends are eggs, where you can see.
I know, it is absolutely ridiculous, because you've gone from looking really ill to hench, as I call it.
Yeah. I still am. You can't tell him this.
You are hench. Now we can see your muscles are incredible.
So it got to October now. I feel incredible. I look incredible. I wrote a blog. So I built a website, allmyfriendsregs.com, which still exists now. And I wrote my whole story of everything in detail, like what we're discussing, very, very high level of what actually went on. I went into detail in the blog.
Yeah.
And then from there, it got picked up on social media. Like, people started sharing it. My before and after pictures started going viral. So then Big Brother, the TV show, reached out to me and wanted me to go on Big Brother. Love Island reached out to me. Naked Attraction reached out to me on Channel 4.
Oh, no, that's not that one, is it? Oh, is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Makes my eyes bleed, that one.
I haven't watched it. I heard about it.
Don't go on that, Manny.
No. Like, too late now. You can watch it.
Yeah, I'm on. You won't recognise me.
I look different with my clothes off.
Sorry, completely digressed there. So all these people have contacted you, and because your story's ridiculous. and how you've gone from that to how you are now, and you've basically retrained your food intake. Basically, that's what you've done, isn't it?
So I've retrained my food intake completely, yes. But even though I was such a driven, focused person, the positivity wasn't fully there as it is today. So stress is a huge, huge factor, not just on the gut, but just in generally, because 90% of serotonin is developed in your gut, and serotonin is your happy hormone.
Yeah.
It controls your mood, it controls stress, anxiety, and things like that. So any bit of stress that you have, no matter how big or small, first place it's going to manifest is in your gut. So people with, say, Crohn's disease, colitis, autoimmune diseases, it's just going to trigger a flare. It can cause pain or discomfort just because from stress, and that's harder to manage than your food intake. So once I learned how to manage stress in my mind more effectively, then to me it's just like I'm untouchable.
And everything
I'm still
kind of
doing that
links.
now.
It's like you sleep better. If you sleep better, you make more positive choices with your food and your exercise. If you're putting good food in, then your body thrives off that. And it's the upward spiral
Yes,
of feeding. And I always describe the body as three sections. You've got what you put in it, what you do with your body, and how your body thinks, or your brain thinks. And if those three things are all working beautifully, you thrive. But you only need one of them
absolutely.
to
I
be
love
off,
that.
or one down there and one down there. It's a whole 3-step process, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is what I say to my clients. It's a big picture because it's so common for people to say, "Manny, what do you eat?" And I said, "Here, this is what I eat. You replicate what I've done, and no one will ever replicate the results I have based off just what I eat because it's not possible. There's
Everybody's
so
an
much.
individual.
Yeah, it's not one size fits all for starters. I think 99% of people with Crohn's and colitis know that fact. It's about understanding what works for them,
Yeah.
not just from a dietary point of view, but from a lifestyle point of view, from a
And
mindset point of view.
one thing that I've realised, everybody's lifestyle is different, and everybody's tolerance of one thing may make somebody very stressed, and it may make somebody very calm. And you can't. So for me, going for a run makes me really calm. For somebody else, that might be like the worst thing ever. That might get them really stressed. So you have to treat and you and I do this with our clients. We treat everybody as an individual, and it's finding what works for that client. Likes and dislikes, what your body does and doesn't react to, both food as well, isn't it? Some people, like, I eat anything apart from blue cheese and shellfish. I'm allergic to them. My body just doesn't like them, even though I love the taste. My body hates them. So, and I'm sure you find that with your clients as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because that's another factor is not just what triggers them, it's the personal preferences. Because I might turn around and say, "Oh, what about pineapple? Because pineapple has a key compound in there called bromelain, and that's anti-inflammatory, and it's super important for us to have anti-inflammatory foods." And they might turn around, no, pineapple is disgusting.
They're never going to eat it in a million years, are they?
Yes. So then I'm not going to say, well, you must have pineapple because it's this. But if you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's fine. We can work around that. We can still get you to your goals and your health goals
By working.
without. Yeah, we're
And
working
this is
around.
your
That's not a
knowledge of
problem.
food and supplements. Now, one thing that I know that you haven't actually said is that because of your knowledge now on how you've changed your body, you're in remission, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's. I'm glad you brought that up. So just to highlight, I've got Crohn's disease in 2001. Bowel perforation happened in 2016. Had the reversal 2017. So after the 2017 reversal surgery, I've been medication free, and for 16 years I was on medication. Lots of azathioprine, Humira, mesalazine, prednisolone, lots of different drugs. At one point, at its peak, I was on 14 tablets a day, which is a lot
That's
for
a
a
lot.
young person. And now, yeah, just to touch on what you said, Michelle, was I'm in complete remission, and I have been for 4.5 years. I've been symptom free and I've been medication free for the whole time. And a big part of what I do now is I'm super passionate about helping other people reach, where I am on this side of life. It's not easy to come off drugs, and I'm not gonna say you're gonna come off drugs, but we can take that step towards reducing the intake and reducing your symptoms to kind of put you on that path
Absolutely. I mean,
to
this is
healing.
something that I always say with my clients. My CBD is not instead of medication. The one thing that if you've got something wrong with you, you should run to the doctors, and you should, like you did, you bang that door down till you get your answers that you need. And medication is life-saving. And however, there are alternatives out there, not instead of, but as well as. And when you start to feel well, taking new different types of food that you put in your body, nutrition, changing the way you think, eat or move, or adding supplements in, it's only when you start well that you should then discuss with your doctor of altering your medication or reducing it. I don't know whether you agree with that.
No, I totally agree with that, Michelle, 100%, because there needs to be that balance, because it could be detrimental as well to some people if you just started going cold turkey on, say, medication or certain other things that you might be taking in your life. And then that comes back to, say, us, because like we've said, oh, why do you stop all this? Because this is such amazing products and lifestyle. But the reality is it's a phasing period, so it has to be that
it's
kind
like
of balance.
weaning. And this
weaning, that's it.
And I'm sure you get this in your industry, and I've had it in my industry, where particularly they just want your money off you. They'll promise the clients the earth, and actually it's about being realistic. And I think that's where my sports background and knowledge of food and supplements, and your background with your condition, your knowledge and research that you've done, it's a very slow process. If it's taken your body from the age of 11 to now to fix itself, it's a slow process to particularly with anti-inflammatory diets. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just have one healthy meal and your body's fixed. It takes 6 to 8 to 12 weeks, if not longer, to switch those inflammation indicators off.
And on that topic is, especially now in society, is that we all want instant gratification. We want results now. We want our items now. If you order something online, we want now. But the reality is, when it comes to your clients who are using Leaf Organic CBD and the clients that come to see me, is it's a journey, and you've got to be in it for the long haul. Because if you think, all right, I want to heal now and I'll be okay by next month or 3 months, you're not going to be cured. Well, I don't want to use the word cured. You're not going to be healed in that period of time, realistically. If you are, that's amazing, super amazing. But like you said, it's a long, you're in it for the long haul. It's because you're implementing different lifestyle changes and different diets that you're not used to.
I also I hate when people use the word diet. Diet conjures up negativity to me. It should be lifestyle change, and that lifestyle change means you change it for life. Reducing sugar. I mean, the biggest thing that I always tell people that when I was personal training, I'd ask them, do you have tea and coffee? Yeah. Do you put sugar in it? Yeah. Reduce the sugar out of it. It's a really, really simple, small, easy step that you can take without it. And I remember always having one of my clients, and I said, every time you make a cup of tea, over the next week, put a spoonful of sugar in another bowl the same that you put in your cup of tea. And at the end of the week, when I come and see you next week, let's see how much sugar is in that bowl. And it was literally, the bowl was brimming. And I said,
really?
Yeah. And I was like, that is what you can stop without even trying, just by taking it out of your tea and coffee. One small, tiny, weeny step. And rather than having 3 chocolate biscuits, have one, or swap the chocolate biscuits for a healthy, don't get me wrong, I love a chocolate biscuit, but I'll balance it off. Like my lunch today is a piece of chicken and rice and loads of fresh veg. But then tomorrow might be cheese butty. It's about that balance, and it's about that lifestyle change, and not, like you were saying, the KFCs and the McDonald's and all the other wonderful fast food supplements. I can't remember the last time I had fast food. I don't have it. It upsets my stomach. But I know people who live on it.
Yeah. And I was one of those people that lived on it. Yeah. But on that topic of lifestyle changes, they say it takes 21 days to build a habit and 90 days for it to become a lifestyle. So once you implement things, you reach that 21-day mark, 3 weeks, you've started to become used to it. It's a habit. All right, I can get used to this. But, the first 3 weeks might be difficult for some people. Some people might relish in that. But once you hit that 3-month mark, the 90 days, it's normal.
It's not, and that goes with anything, whether it's going to the gym, stopping smoking, whatever it is that you do, cutting sugar out, whatever that lifestyle changes, it becomes the norm. And I think that's the difference of how you work with your clients. All my friends are eggs, is the fact it's a lifestyle. This is for life. This is how you're going to tweak this and bring this into your life. And from what I understand with you, you do full consultations with your clients to make it. It's not just like you say, here, go and do this. That's unobtainable. You listen to your clients and you spend time getting to know them and giving them something that's achievable. There's no point giving them an unachievable target, because after a week they go, this just doesn't work with me and my lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
and I know
as a coach,
you work specifically with sort of Crohn's and gut people who have gut problems, don't you? Those are your kind of clientele that you work
Yeah.
and you've had
And
incredible results.
unbelievable results. Especially, I had a message today, and after someone, she's suffering with psoriasis, which is a form of autoimmune disease. And literally after a week and a half, and again, I didn't expect these results so quickly. With everything that she's implemented based off my guidance and my coaching, she goes, "Well, I've just come off my steroid creams completely. My skin's healing so quickly." And I'm like, "What the? In a week and a half?" Like, I'm actually stunned. Again, I expect
Reducing
things to
that
take.
inflammation and putting probably good quality whole foods in there.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
how we met as well, isn't it? Because I know that you're a great advocate of CBD and how that balances and adds into the kind of supplement advice that you give your clients. And I know that I'm very much into, you use food, how you move your body and your mind, and then you have the supplements in. And I'm quite ethical in that respect. And I know that's how we met. So do you use, well, I know you do, you use the CBD yourself, and I know that you use it for your clients or recommend it to them if they want to try it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how we obviously across paths is I use Leaf Organic CBD, and I've used it. I've used CBD for many years and made that transition to yourself. And I use it personally. It controlled my Crohn's disease because there is times where I get a little inkling of a flare ready to kick in, and I just stop it dead in its tracks. And a big part of that is the CBD side of things. We were touching on sleep, sleeping on our back. It really helps me go into that deeper sleep because REM sleep is really important for healing because you're releasing them chemicals and the hormones as you sleep. But for someone who works out or exercises, muscle recovery, joint recovery, it really helps from growth hormone point of view when you're in that REM sleep. So it's a big part of
Sleep
my
is key.
routine is the CBD, and which is why I recommend it to my clients. People have different opinions, but I'm very passionate about the CBD side of things, and because it is organic, it is extracted from a plant,
And
which is
and
provided by Mother Nature.
We've had so many discussions about it, and so for people who are listening, there's a lot of scientific research to show how it helps with the gut. There's actually lots and lots of blind, placebo, double study, peer tested papers that are out there about how it helps with the gut. And I know I've discussed it with you because of the endocannabinoid system that we have, that our body is depleted when, and then all these autoimmune issues come out, and cannabinoids that are in your body, so CBD along with turmeric, echinacea, and is it, I can't remember, I'll have to get the other one out as well, dark chocolate, so cacao, all link into that endocannabinoid system that is naturally in our body to help your body balance, not in the quantities that it has in CBD or the cannabis plant. And it complements all the other work that you're doing. And I'm not ever saying it's instead of, it's as well as, but the gut health, it's phenomenal. I mean, we had a chat, I had a really bad upset stomach over January, combination of a stomach bug and stress. And I was literally, when I was getting these like IBS flares, it was literally, like you say, stopping it in its track. I use it before, so when I exercise, I get exercise-induced IBS, which can be most annoying when you're on a 10k run and you're a distance away from home. And I've noticed that I take a little bit before a run and it calms my stomach down. I don't know how it works or what well, I do know how it works, but for me, it's almost like, oh my God, I found something that calms my stomach down. And the reason for that is because of the way it works with your gut. But it's a really helpful tool to add into that toolbox of health and wellness for the gut, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I love that explanation because you touched on it. It's a part of the bigger picture. It's not like, all right, you just have CBD and that's going to be the end all be all. There's so much that goes into it, like you mentioned with the echinacea and the turmeric and the lifestyle and the diet and the exercise. It's one whole big package that comes
green
together.
Tea, we all hear of the benefits of green tea. Green tea has endocannabinoids or has cannabinoids in it. That's another reason why CBD is green tea. Everybody recommends it. Yeah. So it's. I find that the more you research something, it's how Mother Nature is all entwined into one. And I think going to the whole foods and the natural remedies is the way forward. And it's like the things that you do with your clients is explaining and giving them the education so they can make an informed decision of what's right for them and their lifestyle. And I just find the whole nature thing fascinating.
I do as well. It's amazing that medicine is being put on this earth naturally for us to consume in nature, in plants, in herbs, in our food. It's all there. I've heard a term multiple times, expression where Mother Nature has provided every cure to every illness through plants, and I'm a big believer in that. That's true.
And I think it's interesting to see Western medicine is now coming through, seeing the benefits of nature's healing pots, and I find it fascinating. But I could talk to you for hours, Manny. I want to kind of wrap up and say to you, somebody who's got Crohn's or a gut problem, is there any sort of top tips? Have you got maybe one or two top tips that you could give them, as well as coming to see you and having a consultation with you? That's the best tip. But do you have any sort of quick things that people can look at and introduce very quickly into their lifestyle that could help them immediately?
Yeah, absolutely. Besides the fact that you should be coming to see me.
Absolutely, we need an appointment with you, Manny,
Yeah, well, that's it. The key thing is, when it comes from a dietary point of view, is the onus is on what to avoid, and to avoid things like caffeine and cow's milk specifically. Food with skin is very hard to digest. So say blueberries, for example, it's high in antioxidant, it's a superfood, but the skin doesn't get broken down too well. So if you're consuming that and it goes through your gut, and if you've got a gut ailment, you've got ulcers, you've got inflammation, and it reaches that point, you're just going to agitate, it's going to cause a flare, it's going to cause discomfort. So food with skin should be avoided. Seeds for the same reason. Avoid red meat and pork, because imagine red meat and pork is very chewy and very tough to eat, and you might get bored of chewing it and you might swallow it. But now your gut's working just as hard as your mouth was, and now there's a big piece of red meat that's now going to go through your gut, your intestines. And once it reaches areas of inflammation or ulcers, for example, it's just going to agitate, it's going to trigger a flare, it's going to cause pain. And so avoid.
So this is specifically for people with Crohn's disease that we're talking, because obviously we're here with nuts and fruit being very good for you, but this is specifically for people with gut problems.
So these tips are specifically with gut problems. I wouldn't say Crohn's disease. This is IBS, this is colitis, this is leaky gut, this is celiac, this is gastritis. This is all encompassing these tips basically to avoid. Again,
fruit with skin, seeds, red meat, specifically pork.
Caffeine, cow's milk.
Yeah.
Reduce and avoid sugar intake. And obviously, you touched on that, which is great, because sugar is very pro-inflammatory. So even if you have a great anti-inflammatory diet, moderation doesn't exist in this scenario. Because say if you have all this anti-inflammatory food and it's fantastic, but then once you have something that's pro-inflammatory like sugar, it just destroyed everything. It's not like, oh, I've had so much anti-inflammatory food, I've had this much pro-inflammatory. Oh, it's fine. It's not. It's this will just wipe and create inflammation and create, ulcers, and it's just. So sugar is another enemy, so to speak. And they're the key things I would say from the top of my head. Again, that's more of a generalized thing. It's specific to specific people, because like gluten, one person might tolerate gluten. Obviously, people who've got celiac are not gonna, but someone else might not. Like for me, I can actually tolerate gluten, but I spoke to so many people. Oh no, I have bread and it really bloats me. And bear in mind, with bloat, just to touch on this very quickly, that bloated stomach is a sign that you're inflamed. Your stomach's distended because that bread or the gluten has caused inflammation, which then has a bloated look or bloated stomach. So yeah, so that would be my top quick tips to give to everybody out there.
Thank you so much, Manny. I've really thoroughly enjoyed listening to your incredible story. I think your friend was right. I think you are absolutely a warrior. And I just think you having all my friends are eggs and helping other people out there, you're sharing your warrior spirit and knowledge with all of those people, and that is brilliant. And thank you so much for coming on today and having a chat with us. And I'll put all your links in the underneath so people can get in contact with you. And thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
No, I thank you for inviting me onto this. I thoroughly enjoyed this chat as well. It's been really nice speaking to you, and I wish you all the best, Michelle.